Hey math students, today we're going to be talking about the customary system. This is one of the measurements that we use here in the United States. Most other countries use the metric system. We are using the customary system. This is part of our ratios and proportions chapter. So this again is changing customary units. When we are measuring anything, whether it be length or weight or capacity, we use different labels. In length, we have measurements like inches and feet, yards, miles. That's what we use here in the customary system. When we're dealing with weight, we talk about pounds, ounces, tons. When we talk about capacity, these are all capacity measurements here in the United States under our customary system. The largest thing we have is a gallon. Gallons break down into quarts, pints, and cups, and then we even get as low as ounces. This is called the big G, okay? You might have seen the gallon man before. This is our big G. The big G stands for gallon. Within each gallon, there are 4 quarts. So this is a way of remembering how many quarts and pints and cups and things like that are in each of our customary capacity measurements. 4 quarts in each gallon. Within each quart, there are 2 pints. That's the capital P here in each Q is 2 pints. And within each pint, there are 2 cups. Now, it's really tiny. Each cup also has 8 ounces. So there should be a little 8 inside of there for the ounces. This is our big G. This is our way of remembering how many units go inside each of our capacity measurements. We also have, like I said, weight measurements, which are like pounds, ounces, and tons. And in the customary system for length, we also deal with inches, feet, yards, and miles. Pause the video, copy down the vocab at the top, and then we just have 2 examples in our foldable for 6-4 today. In our vocab example, we have unit ratio as one of the vocabs. All of our vocab is so related to one another. We started with ratios. We talked about unit rates. We talked about just rates themselves. A unit ratio follows right into that same line of definitions. It's a ratio. This time the denominator is 1, so that's where we get that word unit. But it's a ratio, so that means it doesn't have to be different units. You can measure. The labels can be the same in a unit ratio. It's the same as a unit rate. The only difference is that it can have the same thing, students to students or money to money or whichever. So we're talking just a little bit more with those unit rates. All of these are so interconnected that all of the definitions kind of run together. So we want to kind of look at some of those differences for each of these vocab words. In this case, unit ratio. Again, unit means the denominator is 1, and if it's just a ratio, it's not a rate. A rate is specific that it has to have different labels on the numerator and denominator. In a ratio, they can be the same unit for numerator and denominator. Okay? In the foldable, we're looking again at 2 examples here, converting some measurements into the customary system. Our first example deals with length. So we're talking about yards and feet. 36 yards equals how many feet? Okay. And example B is dealing with our capacity. Cups into 5 quarts. How many 5 quarts is how many cups when we look at that big G? So the steps to follow are over there on the right. Write the math fact is the first step. So you need to use either your big G or the chart your teacher has given you regarding those math facts, okay? Memorizing some of those customary system measurements. Then write down what to do with it and then actually go through and do the math. So here's what we mean by write the math fact. So in our first example, we're dealing with yards and feet. So the math fact that we know about yards and feet, we know that there are 3 yards. Backspace. There's 1 yard equals 3 feet. There we go. That works a little better. There's 3 feet in 1 yard. Now we look at the math and we look at what's involved. If we start with 1 yard and we want to go up to 36 yards, all of these problems you're going to be dealing with multiplication or division. Okay, we're not going to be adding or subtracting these units. We're going to be using some multiplication. To go from 1 yard to 36 yards is a times 36. We want this to be 36 times bigger. If we multiply by 36 on the yards, that means for the feet, we also have to multiply by 36. So our math now for step 3, do the math. We have to do the 3 times 36. So when we do 3 times 36, we get 108. So 36 yards is the same as 108 feet. Okay? The next one, we're dealing with capacity. And again, these capacity ones are the ones that kind of trip students up a little bit because they're not used to dealing with those gallons and quarts and cups on a day-to-day basis. So we're looking for a math fact that relates quarts and cups. So if we look back at our big G, we can see that each quart, one of those Q's, okay, one of those quarts, had 4 cups in it. So there's 4 cups in 1 quart. Again, we're going to look at the math that's involved here, and we're always going to be doing that multiplication or division. So in this case, to go from 1 quart to 5 quarts, we have to do a times 5. So guess what we're going to do on the other side? We're also going to do a times 5. And now we go through and do that math. So 4, follow the arrow, times 5 is 20. There are 20 cups in 5 quarts. So again, write the math fact, then write what your arrow is, do that math, show what you're going to be multiplying by or what you're dividing by if it's getting smaller. And then the third step is to go ahead and do that math. Okay? Again, if you've got questions, just let your teachers know. If you've got questions, make sure that you are asking those questions. Okay? Have a great day.